Blood soaked the snow under the cedar tree, glinting dark as wine beneath the moonlight. The man slumped there, wasn't breathing right, short, sharp gasps that sounded like a dying animal. An arrow jutted from his back, feathers trembling in the cold wind. Mara Granger hadn't planned on finding anyone out here. Not this far off the trail, not at midnight. She was chasing a stray calf from her herd, not a ghost from the outlaw trails. Damn, she muttered, crouching. The man's hand twitched toward his holster before falling limp again. She could smell the copper of blood, the sweat, the whiskey. Whoever he wasn't long for this world. Then he opened his eyes. Don't leave me here, he rasped. Mara froze. His voice was gravelly but human, desperate. Who are you? She whispered. He didn't answer, just winced as the wind whipped around them. The arrow had sunk deep between his ribs. If she pulled it wrong, he'd die. If she left him, he'd die anyway. She chewed her lip. Outlaws meant trouble, but letting someone die in the cold, she wasn't raised that way. Hold still, she murmured, cutting through his leather coat with her knife. He hissed when she snapped the arrow's shaft, and again when she slid him over her shoulder to haul him onto her horse. He wasn't light, but adrenaline carried her. By the time she got back to her cabin, the oil lamp flickered low. She dumped him on the cot near the hearth. Spread it open, he groaned. What? The wound, he gasped, half delirious. Cut me free. She blinked, realizing he meant the torn hide and shirt binding his back. Her fingers worked fast, cutting fabric, pulling splinters of arrowhead out. He screamed once, then went silent. When dawn came, the man still breathed. Barely. Mara washed her hands, staring at the stranger sleeping in her home. His face was rough-hewn, scarred. A bandit's beard, a gunman's jaw. There was something dangerous about him even unconscious. She found a tattoo on his arm, a black serpent coiled around the number 7. Mara's stomach turned cold. The Serpent 7, a gang whose names were whispered across half of Texas. Robbers, murderers, men who left bodies for coyotes. And she'd saved one. Mara pulled his revolver from his belt. It was heavy, the handle worn smooth. On the barrel were etched words, "The world owed me nothing." Hell, she whispered. She considered riding into town, telling Sheriff Brody she'd found an outlaw. But Brody wasn't a kind man. He'd take her in too, accuse her of harboring. No, she'd wait until he healed enough to talk. Then she'd decide. 3 days passed. He didn't die. His fever broke. On the 4th morning, he woke for good. His eyes, gray as storm clouds, met hers. You the angel pulled me from hell. I'm no angel, she said. You were half dead. I just didn't want a corpse attracting wolves. He smiled, faintly. Then I owe the wolves my thanks for missing me. What's your name? She asked. He hesitated, then, Cole. Just Cole. That's all that's left of it. She eyed him warily. You're one of the Serpent 7. His gaze darkened. Was. They killed my brother. I quit breathing their air after that. Quitting don't mean much when the world's still hunting you, she said. He gave a short, bitter laugh. You're not wrong. That night, wind howled outside, rattling the windows. Cole stirred on the cot, restless. Mara couldn't sleep either. She sat by the fire, loading her rifle. He watched her through half-lidded eyes. You expecting someone? Out here, you always expect someone. He grinned faintly. Smart woman. When morning broke, the snow had melted into mud. And down the valley, she heard it, the distant thunder of hooves. Mara went to the window. 3 riders. No, 4. And one of them carried a wanted poster, flapping in the wind. Cole stiffened when he saw them. They found me, he muttered. She turned on him. Who? Bounty hunters. $5,000 on my head. Mara's stomach dropped. $5,000 was more money than she'd see in 5 lifetimes. Enough to buy land, cattle, safety. She looked at the gun on the table. You could turn me in, he said quietly, reading her eyes. No one would blame you. I didn't save you to sell you, she snapped. But I'm not dying for you either. He sat up, grimacing. Then we run. They'll see our tracks. Then we make them follow the wrong ones. In minutes, they were moving, Mara saddling her mare, Cole staggering behind. He was still weak, but the fire in him hadn't gone out. They rode into the canyon, boots splashing mud. Behind them, the bounty hunters fanned out, scanning the ridge. By noon, Cole had set a trap, false trails leading toward Devil's Ridge. They hid in a dry gulch, breath steaming in the cold. You planned this before, Mara said. He nodded. You learn tricks when everyone wants you dead. She studied him. Did you do it? What they say. He looked away. Depends what they say. They say you robbed a train and shot 2 marshals. He chuckled low. I robbed the train. Didn't shoot no lawman. My brother did. Then they hanged him and blamed me. And now I'm just trying to stay breathing long enough to matter. Mara said nothing. She could hear distant voices, the hunters shouting, closer now. Cole's hand went to his gun. If they find us. They won't, she cut in. Not yet. But by dusk, the sound of hooves echoed through the canyon again. The hunters had split, 2 down the ridge, 2 cutting across the flats. Mara felt her pulse hammer. Cole stood, pale but steady. Give me my gun. You can barely stand. I'd rather die shooting than crawling. She hesitated, then handed it to him. The first hunter appeared at the edge of the rocks, rifle raised. Cole fired first. The man dropped. The second ducked behind a boulder, returning fire. A bullet splintered the log near Mara's head. She grabbed her rifle and fired once. The man toppled backward into the mud. Then silence. The last 2 bounty hunters circled from behind. Cole turned, but his wound tore open, crimson blooming through the bandages. He fell to one knee, firing wildly. Mara ran forward, aimed, and shot the last man clean through the shoulder. He fell screaming. The 4th fled, horse hooves vanishing into the distance. The gunfire echoed into silence again. Mara dropped beside Cole. Blood soaked her hands as she pressed against his side. Stay with me, she begged. You're not dying here. He smiled faintly, blood on his lips. You're a strange woman. Why's that? You found me half dead, could have sold me for gold, and you're still here. Maybe I'm just tired of watching men die for nothing, she whispered. He chuckled weakly. Then maybe you're the last good soul in the West. They made it back to her cabin by moonlight. Cole's breathing grew shallow, but he didn't die. He refused to. For 3 days, no one came. Then, on the 4th dawn, the sound returned. Not 4 riders this time. 6. Mara's hand froze on the windowsill. They weren't bounty hunters. These men wore black coats and had the same tattoo as Cole, the serpent around the number 7. Cole saw them and went still. They shouldn't be here, he muttered. The serpent 7, she whispered. They're real. They came to finish what they started. He grabbed his revolver. You should go. I'm not leaving you. Mara, don't argue. The outlaws rode up, guns drawn. The leader dismounted, his voice echoing. Cole Avery, you think you can crawl away from the pit you dug? Cole stepped out onto the porch, blood seeping through his shirt. Guess I can try. The leader sneered. You took our cut. Killed your own brother. Cole's jaw clenched. You killed him, Vance. Vance smirked. Doesn't matter now. Dead men don't argue. Mara raised her rifle behind the doorframe. Cole glanced back once, and nodded. The first shot split the air. Then chaos. Gunfire cracked, wood splintered, dust flew. Mara hit one man square in the chest. Cole took down another, but a bullet grazed his shoulder. Vance lunged forward, firing. Cole's revolver clicked empty. Mara stepped from behind the door and shot Vance clean through the heart. He staggered, fell, and didn't rise. Silence fell again. Smoke drifted through the doorway. Cole sank against the post, breathing hard. It's over, Mara said softly. He looked at her, tired eyes shining. For the first time, maybe it is. A week later, Cole was gone. Left before dawn, taking only his gun and a note. It read, "You gave me back something I thought I lost, my soul. Keep the land. Keep your name clean. If anyone asks, the outlaw died in the snow." Mara folded the paper, tears burning her eyes. By summer, folks whispered of a lone rider heading north, a man with a serpent tattoo and a ghost of a woman's kindness keeping him alive. And sometimes, at night, Mara swore she heard hooves in the distance, pausing just long enough to say goodbye.